So welcome everybody to Coastline's 6th Fall Planning Summit. Planning Summit is something that's been a tradition at Coastline. Over the last, like I said, 6-7 years, we really use this opportunity to share, educate, and build knowledge around our college as a dispersed model. As the last 2 years being in COVID, not being able to interact, sometimes we lose those stories, but we always leverage Planning Summit as an opportunity to maybe share those stories. And while I wish we could spend all the time, as you've seen the many documents flying around of all the great things people have done, we're using this time to give a snapshot and to highlight what had happened over summer and fall and a preview of what's to come for spring. And similar to that, to give everybody the opportunity and space to speak, we're doing it in an elevator pitch style. So everyone's going to get a short opportunity to just cover a few of many things that we're going to be doing and have achieved at Coastline. So with that said, I will be leading this along with my friend and colleague, Lisa Lee. She is the co-chair with myself in our Planning, Innovation, Effectiveness, and Accreditation Committee. Just some housekeeping rules before we start. Please, if you have any comments or questions, don't unmute and say that. The goal is to keep everybody muted. And if you have questions, please put them in the chat. If you have a question directly for the presenter that you may not want to ask everyone, you can directly message them. We created that opportunity for you to do so. And I just want to remind you, this is a recorded meeting, and then all the comments will be recorded. I'm not going to keep them or post them anywhere, but I just wanted to share that. So with that said, we are going to get started with our first slide. I don't know, Sean, if you'd like to move that forward, please. So I will start and be followed with Dr. Lee. So we're going to talk about some of the achievements from our PIAC committee. So over this last few months, what PIAC has really been looking to do is how do we centralize our focus at the college? You know, with so many things going on, what are some focal metrics or key points to say that we're meeting our college goals and achieving our mission? So a long story short, we used to have over 100 key performance indicators. We brought it down to 23. This year, there's 15 metrics that are going to be blended throughout all of the different plans at our college. You'll see that in some of the handouts that we've given. But, you know, in thinking about our accreditation and our planning, we've been asked to set short-term goals and long-term goals. So in alignment with our educational master plan, we set long-term goals for these key performance indicators. In addition, during this term, myself and Marilyn Brock have been working with faculty, classified professionals, and administrators in the development of our accreditation midterm report. During our accreditation cycle at the 3.5-year mark, that is when we submit a report to our accrediting body. And so then in addition, so some of the new practices we've adopted at PIAC is we always want to hear updates of some of the larger plans that are occurring at Coastline, the areas such as student equity and achievement, marketing, career education, pathways, and the like. And so we move that forward to have more standing dialogue and collaboration to hear the great work that these groups are doing, as it will help inform the planning we're doing. And so another approach is what we looked at is, as at PIAC, we love to tell stories. So in those stories, we have standing reports. And then as a preview of our standing reports, at one point, we had 16 standing reports. And we realized about 50% of our meeting was just reports. And while Dr. Rodriguez loves when I repeat myself 1,000 times, he thought of how can we be more efficient and share that message. So working with Patty Franco, what we did is working with the team, we created a process where twice a month, reports are sent out via a SWAY and a PDF. And then they're given opportunities at our different meetings to provide any clarifying questions, so on and so forth. So we've piloted this. We'll see how it works. And so there'll be more to come to that. And we introduced the idea of values. At Coastline, we really want to talk about what do we value? What guides our behavior? What guiding principles do we have? And as we start refining our plans, making the integration points, and being very intentional with what we're doing, we would like to establish, and that'll be coming up, a set of values that the college looks to adopt. So I'm going to pass it over to Lisa Lee, if you'd like to share what we're doing in spring 2022.
Sure. For spring 2022, we do have 5 highlights here. Number 1, review progress report on the strategic priority of the college. Number 2, review the accreditation midterm report draft. Number 3, receive additional operational planning updates from all the groups. Number 4, we are going to complete initiative prioritization. Number 5, create, review, and adopt values statements. And recently, we have this innovation circle started this fall semester. We just had a meeting last week. And we wish we can continue, expand this circle and continue to the spring 2022. A more innovative idea will come from everyone at the Coastline.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lisa. So I'll transition over to our next slide where it'll be Lisa Lee and Toby West to talk about the Academic Senate.
Hi. I'm serving at Academic Senate as president now, and also professor of the mathematics and department chair of the mathematics. Today, Professor West and I, we are going to be presenter for Academic Senate. We have 30 faculty senators from different disciplines, and we meet every other Tuesday from 12:30 to 2:30 through the Zoom that you can see from the PowerPoint slide. We are here to share with you about some highlights in spring 2022 and fall 2021. Number 1, we as a faculty, we are guiding diverse population of the students and providing innovative education in teaching and learning, but also we striving to achieve the equitable outcomes. This semester, we have selected the equity book for us to read during this coming winter break, and will be discussed in spring 2022. This highly recommended equity book is Minding the Obligation Gap in Community Colleges and Beyond. It is not just for theory, but for practice in achieving our educational equity, right? Number 2, we have passed a resolution in support of the competency-based education. We believe this innovative education will benefit to a lot of our working adult students. This is one of our Coastline strategic planning. Number 3, we also completed faculty prioritization for hiring 5 full-time faculty. These positions are accounting, business, counseling, cybersecurity, and ethnic studies. This is a good news for us and for students. The rest, Professor West will continue.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Summit. Exciting. So a couple things that we've also done is there were nearly 30 presentations at the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges fall plenary last month. Some of those sessions included the typical general sessions, Senate Leadership 101, accessibility, equity, and online education, equity-driven leadership, hot topics for part-time faculty, especially with the current situation with the reduced enrollment. That's a really big topic right now. The presentation materials are on the ASCCC website if you're interested, and I'm happy to send you a link if you just want to shoot me an email. We also have the task force for the faculty prioritization rubric. So we started a new task force to review and recommend revisions for that rubric. And the task force met for the first time on November 29th, this past Monday. Info about the meeting will be shared at the next Senate meeting on Tuesday for discussion and input. And then the task force will meet again after the Senate discussion, and then we'll bring it to Senate again, whatever the task force has put together for another discussion in the spring. And then the the voting on the resolution for the zero textbook cost, that will come up at the next meeting as well. And that's related to the attribute that's on the searchable schedule, so that it will be ZTC, zero textbook cost, the same, which aligns with the other colleges and universities across the country. And then one last thing that's not on the slide, we do have the OER coordinator position that's open. So we'll be accepting applications for the spring 2022 term. And then if you're interested, if you wanted to consider that it's a 2-year term, and then in the fall, that 2-year term will be open for applications again. So please contact Lisa Lee with any questions on that. Thank you.
Excellent. And so we'll move forward to hear from the Classified Senate and Classified Senate President Chris Freeman.
Hello, good afternoon. So I joined the Classified Senate in October. Our new board has been elected. We have Kristen and Mary Beth and Anna who are helping us in the leadership positions. Our goal right now is to try to get all the committee staffed so we have representation in all the committees. So that's an ongoing process, but we are making more movement towards that. We had a successful EOPS holiday gift campaign. There were 99 families requesting assistance from the EOPS department for gifts for the holidays, and we were able to deliver and exceed that. So I'm very happy with that. Right now, we're working on a raffle for our scholarship campaign. We did not have a scholarship campaign last year. We're trying to make up for that and get going for the academic year 2 award scholarships. We are selling raffle tickets, and an email went out this afternoon about the raffle tickets and how to purchase the raffle tickets. So if you're interested, just refer to the email that was sent this afternoon, and we'll give you the information. But we look forward to working with everybody, getting back on having the classified working with the faculty and the management, and things are going in the right direction right now.
Excellent. And so we'll move over to ASG with Jessica. And I don't know if any of your other classified colleagues are here, or not classified, but your ASG colleagues are here, as my screen can only see about 6 people of the 100+ that we have. So please, Jessica, if you or any of your other classmates and government leaders would like to speak.
Yes, I'm joined with Spencer, and he'll start us off.
Excellent.
All right. Hi, everybody. Just a quick introduction. Hi, my name is Spencer. I'm the current ASG president. Good to see some faces I recognize and see some I don't. So now you can put a face to my name if you've seen my name here and there. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about what we have done so far this past fall semester. One of our sort of sayings so far this year has been, we are small but mighty. We have a small sort of ASG, but we are continuing to do everything we can in every field we can. And so one of the events that we have been doing pretty regularly for a while now is our drive-in movie nights. We had a previous one last semester. There's another one over the summer, then one again this past October. We have seen good turnouts by students coming in with their friends and family to just watch some movies. One of them was, let's see, it was Jurassic Park. I think this previous one was Cruella. Other movies I can't remember off the top of my head, but people showed up and they seemed to enjoy it. We had some pretty good turnouts. And so we're trying to make sure we are able to maintain and build a community for our students here. And so this is kind of a small thing we can just continue to do. So we're looking forward to do more in the future with that. Just going over quick, some more things we've done this semester. The ASG, we've provided a number of fee waiver scholarships for the NSLS. That's the, I always forget what the acronym, National Society, Student Leadership Society, something like that. And so we provided some fee waivers for that, and many of them were used. We did also sponsor 3 officers and 7 other students, so non-ASG officer students, to attend the CCCSAA Student Leadership Conference. That's the California Community College Student, I forget what the AAs. If Jessica, you can step in when that, if you have that. Okay, but yeah, that was another leadership conference for some training and guidance and advice. So we had that. We've activated a total number of 7 student-led clubs so far this fall semester. Looking forward to getting more of that in the future in the spring semester. One of the big things we did as well, we reviewed and adjusted the scholarships that ASG funds. It totals about $40,000 that ASG provides to our fellow students. We looked at how many awards were awarded for certain categories and tried to realign it with our goals as ASG. We noticed, one of the big points we noticed that our distance learning scholarship for distance learning students wasn't as high as it should be given the proportion of distance learning students in our population. So we kind of readjusted that to increase the amount of awards so that more students would be able to receive those funds. We also approved an additional $20,000 for our Sea Dolphin Assistance Program in the form of book vouchers. This is a great way for us to help our students directly. And so we provided all those. We also, I personally attended that VetNet training, that VetNet Ally training just a number of days and weeks ago. We feel it's a good way to support our veteran and active duty population. And so it's important for us to participate there as we can. We had actually recently readjusted our bylaws as well to better align with our goals of equity and inclusion with our student population and to clarify anything that was a little up in the air. We also, one other thing that's not on here really quick, a previous year's ASG had committed to providing funds for the Orange County Transit Authority. If some of you are aware of the ongoing things going on with it, is to allow students free bus fare for the next couple of years. And so we have provided a good upfront cost to help support that. That's kind of what we've been working on so far this past fall semester. I'm going to quickly pass it off to Jessica for our spring next semester.
Hello, I'm Jessica. I am Legislative Affairs Director for ASG, and we are ramping up for spring 2022. We are hoping to sponsor an event with Coastline Cares Food Pantry, and we met with one of the representatives from that to learn more about how we can help out and how we can sponsor an event in the future. So we're hoping to provide hot meals to those who utilize the services and help them out next semester and hopefully in the future as well. We also are working on different events for student government hosted events in the spring semester. A few things that we have are like live stream, student studying work groups, stuff like that. And then we're also going to be working on re-examining funds going to ASG sponsored programs. So we're going to be hoping to increase our funding and support with all of the programs that are in the ASG aligned with our goals in the college. And then we're also hoping to prepare for and carry out ASG elections and encourage greater support and student participation in student-led groups, for example, ASG clubs, any other programs that students are interested in joining and helping out with. And that's pretty much everything we're working out for. Thank you all for listening. And
Excellent, Spencer and Jessica. Thank you so much, ASG, for the work you've done and the representation of our students. You're the reason that we're here and do the great work that we all do together. So thank you. And so we'll move on to one of my favorite work groups is the Student Equity Achievement Work Group. Today, I was hoping that Claudia Mojica and Leah Fleming could present with us. Unfortunately, they have a few other things that ran into their schedules ran into the one that I had for this. So they asked me to do the presentation. So fingers crossed, I took really copious notes. And so what we wanted to really talk about is the work that's being done with student equity and achievement. And things you're going to hear more about what we're doing at the college is focused on intentionality, on purpose, and on making meaningful change. And I think you'll see that in some of the work that we've done. We started in summer and fall. We went away from just generalized metrics and really started focusing on race neutral metrics, something of an approach called intersectionality, and to better understand our students. So instead of saying one characteristic of a student, you look at 3 or 4 layers. So you would look at maybe the student's race, gender, modality by which they're taking, and then maybe other things that they receive financial aid. And then it really will help us as we're developing out our programming for the future to have more segmented and more focused programming. So our team has been really leading that effort in fall. Another approach is how we continue to meet student basic needs. So over this summer fall term, we've given out the most book vouchers we ever have at Coastline, over $31,000 worth of book vouchers, which is fantastic to provide that opportunity to our students in part. And then also with all the great work that we've done as a college to help with zero cost textbooks and materials has also been very helpful to support our students and their basic needs. We continue the partnership with Marriott to help provide safe spaces for students to live, to sleep, to be while they're attending classes. Also, we're starting to develop more dedicated resources for our Latinx and LGBTQAI plus groups, so we can help support our students and meet our mission of meeting students where they are to achieve our equitable outcomes. And as you see things developing more in spring, we're waiting for the state to release the information to us on our newest student equity and achievement plan. Once they give us the metrics and the information they're looking for, we're going to have our work group really focus on areas in social justice, intersectionality, and race-conscious programming, and really build upon the work that we're doing there. But currently with the processes we're looking at this year is to really scale the efforts that we have with professional development, looking at an Equity Ally series, sending individuals to a national conference called NCORE, where they can really build their skills and understandings of new practices and processes that we can bring back to Coastline. Also, we're looking at some of our faculty put something together for a faculty equity course, where it's an interactive online course to really help you strengthen what's happening in the classroom. But then also for all of our employees, really building upon the work that we've done with data coaching and really building an equity focused approach to understanding like our personal biases, our unconscious bias, so on and so forth, as we're looking at information, making decisions, who's being included, excluded, and the like. Some other work we're continually looking to do is looking at how we're using equity-minded language and trying to get away from a deficit mindset, and then continue to support or gain support from our local and regional groups and build those partnerships throughout the region as we continue to move this work forward. And the last thing that I wanted to highlight is we're going to be looking to release a new web page for student parents. So there's a lot of exciting things happening in student equity and achievement. And so now I'm going to pass it over to Renee to talk about one of our newest committees, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Shana, if you want to forward the slide. Renee.
Hey, Aaron, just FYI, I don't think I can turn on my video, but
all good. It's all good.
So hi, everybody. Some of the things that we were able to do after breaking ground last semester was really the launching of two things. And since last year, we've been able to do a good amount of dialogues, and I'm hoping that we can continue to do that. But for this summer and fall, we did two things. One was the launch of affinity groups. This is tied to a lot of what Vince has been mentioning and talking about, which is that people should feel welcome, whether if they're a student, if they're staff, if they're faculty, if they're a manager, regardless, they should feel welcome here at Coastline. And I think a part of that effort was to build and launch affinity groups. So affinity groups, if you think about it, are kind of like employee clubs, right? They're ways that for people who identify with different identities, and they can join these affinity groups or even just launch or create it. So what I'll do is after this, I'll put the link in there just if people are interested in developing their affinity groups. And once we have a launch or an affinity group that's going to be created, I'm going to put it on our diversity, our DEI committee page so that people can always view it and look at it and join it later on. The second one was about the BERET. So that actually stands for Bias, Incident, Response, and Education Team. So this has been common at other colleges, and this is really where incidents where there's microaggressions or other places where incidents where people haven't necessarily felt safe, but it doesn't fit into other categories. This is where it can be addressed. So this is not a disciplinary team, but this is a group that is going to be here to address and help educate either the college or individuals who are involved in incidents, and to really kind of help educate and kind of figure out what we can do or help kind of manage whatever conflicts that are there. So it's not disciplinary. So that's the submission of our BERET proposal. And hopefully, and when we get into spring is one, the development of this Barrett team, increasing the amount of affinity groups, and then continually doing some joint events and critical dialogues. We did a good amount of critical dialogues last spring, so I'm hoping that we can continue that based on whatever incidents that might occur or whatever things that are happening. We do a lot of work with equity, so I'm hoping that if anybody's interested in any heritage months that they want to explore or anything in particular, that you can come to us and we can work together. I know a couple of folks, that's how we did it last year when we were focusing on Eid or on Ramadan. That's kind of how some of the information that we sent out, that was how it started, was because there was a faculty member who was interested in sharing that information. So that's it. Thank
Excellent. And so we'll move forward to slide, Sean, as you move back to, we're going to look at enrollment management. Go to the previous one. Sorry, the click through maybe. If you go to the previous slide. For enrollment management.
Yes, sorry. Just having a little issue.
No worries. So a little known fact, Dana Emerson loves donuts. And so she's going to be the first one with me to share a little bit about enrollment management. Would you like to go first, Dana? And Shannon, you may want to stop the spinning as I'm already dizzy. That's my fault, everyone.
That is so funny. Hey, I don't know why I can't start my video. It's but anyway, so yes, enrollment management. So we have been a little quiet this semester just because we are focusing on some other projects that are really important for the college, but that doesn't mean that we're not working. So some of the things that we have done to sew up this semester is send out a survey about enrollment management, mostly about practices and just what people understand and what they don't understand regarding what enrollment management is and what it is that we do. So we are focusing on a few key things. We are going to look at some key areas to focus on so we can build out our next plan. We are looking at what can be integrated, and we are also really looking at the gaps, really wanting to fill the gaps of where there is a lack of information and possibly a lack of moving the needle so that we can plan effectively and efficiently for the next years to come. So Twin, do you want to pick it up?
Definitely. And so just to mirror off what Dr. Emerson was saying is that we do, as you see some of the planning documents that came out, we do a lot of cool things at Coastline. And sometimes we do things, and this is the events where we find out these things are being done. What we're really focusing on, especially with the enrollment management plan, is to bring the great things that are already being done, not just at the unitary level, but even at the strategic planning level with our, let's say, our student equity and achievement plan. There's going to be a big focus how we transitioning to AB 705, but there's already initiatives going underway in a lot of these other plans. So instead of recreating the wheel, we're looking to braid things together, to integrate and to work smarter and as collaborative teams to really move the needle and not add more work, but to leverage the work that's being done and to make really meaningful change. I think, Dr. Emerson, you really touched on some of the things as we've seen across the state, going from 3.2 million enrollments across the state to 1.8 million. It's not just Coastline. A snapshot for everybody at Coastline, fall 2019, prior to going into COVID, we're now 38% smaller than we were, more than a third. What does that mean? How can we rethink what we're doing as a college? How can we be innovative? What opportunities exist? And that's where the enrollment management plan says, how do we create that into action based on the demands and requirements from the state, accreditation and the like, and some of the innovative ideas? How do we meld those together? And that's what we're going to be doing, is really looking at how do we continue to evolve this plan and moving the needle forward to achieve our college goals and our strategic priorities. And if we could jump to the next slide, Shannon, for professional development with Kim Bowie and Stephen Barnes.
Hi, everyone. So Stephen and I will be sharing some highlights and what's coming soon on behalf of the College Professional Development and Leadership Committee. So for some highlights, we had the Fall Flex Day on August 27th, and we had 19 sessions and workshops on equity, Microsoft Office. We had mental health sessions and some really great other sessions as well. And we saw that we had 800 participants on Zoom, And during the summer, the week of, I think it was July 19th, we had the Classified Professional Development Week. And the Classified Professional Development Subcommittee actually looked at the needs assessment survey. And we worked with Dr. Regina Standback-Stroud in order to have two sessions. One was for career development and the other one was for equity. And there were 16 sessions offered overall and about 400 participants on Zoom. And then Stephen will share some highlights for faculty.
Yeah, so with the Faculty Center, we've had a focus on equity among other things, along with pedagogy across the curriculum. We've done a grading for Equity Book Club that had some participation from faculty, and we discussed the concepts in that book. Danny Pittaway has been a mainstay for the fall and is going to continue on in the spring, hopefully. His meeting students where they are, and has really been a safe space where faculty can get together and talk about ideas and bounce things off of each other and learn from each other. It's been a great opportunity. We've had the equity champions, Dr. Marilyn Brock, Aaron Thomas, Dr. Henry, Oceana Column, and Matthew Quinlan working on a course for the C plan, the Student Equity and Achievement, and they also presented on some equity-minded workshops that you can see here. Coming up, we have the Faculty First Year Academy, hopefully going to start up again with the 5 new full-time faculty members. We hope to get them involved and maybe bring on a couple others maybe in their second year if we're able to do that. We're working on a web accessibility training. I know that's something that was very important for faculty, so hopefully we'll start rolling something out in the spring. And then we are working with UCI and under the guidance of Aaron Thomas, an Instructor Development Education Academy, a short workshop in conjunction with the education department so that we can try to get a pipeline of diverse faculty. And we're going to start with our business department and then hopefully move it to other areas as well. And there'll be other exciting things happening in the spring.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kim and Stephen. And then we'll move forward with the beloved VP. And is Derek going to be joining you?
Yes.
So
yes.
Derek's nickname is actually the bank. So the beloved VP, and we all know Derek is the bank. So go ahead,
Yeah, so it
please.
also takes a village, right, to provide a level of support and services in admin services. So leading off the presentation for DA team will be Derek, Director of Business Services, to touch on the college budget.
Thanks, Christine. Good afternoon, everyone. I do want to apologize for my voice as I'm a bit under the weather. So before I start with our exciting budget, what Christine and I will be providing today is a high-level overview of what has already been discussed and presented in great detail in our budget committee meetings. So with that being said, let's get started with our general fund. General fund closed last fiscal year with a modest balance of $128,000. Contract Ed closed last fiscal year with a deficit of about $1 million. We have already met with the leadership and the ELD team to inform them of the year-end closing results. A plan has already been proposed and put in place for the current fiscal year. And in addition, we are currently working with the district HR in rolling out this plan. For the current year, we built the adopted budget with a structural deficit of about $2.7 million. Fortunately, we have already identified short-term solution to mitigate the deficit in the current fiscal year. The solution comprised of hold harmless, salary savings from vacancies, and restoration of the deficit factor. PIAC funding request for this year came in at about $2.3 million, and of which we are able to fund about $226,000 from federal state grants and HERF dollars. I now pass this back to our beloved VP for spring.
Thank you, Derek. So this morning I was actually attending the State Chancellor's webinar. So the interesting takeaway from that is, yes, we're going through, system-wide decline in enrollment, but it's duly noted that there are a lot of one-time funding coming to the system. And they want to emphasize that even though they are one-time funding, they can still provide long-term impact to the college, right? If widely used and allocated. So with that, what do we have to look forward to in the spring? HOPE grant, Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. You will hear me refer to it often as the COVID relief funding. So with that, even though it's a one-time funding, did you know that as a college, Coastline has received $7 million from this particular grant? So of that, $3.6 million, 90% of that have been dispersed to the students. So want to thank Director of Financial Aid, Chin Pham, for leading this effort. That's a lot of relief that we were able to provide to the student. The other half of the $7 million are utilize our planning process. We have already fully allocated the resource to support a lot of college initiative for that. Scheduled maintenance and state-funded equipment. We also receive one-time funding of $1.4 million. $1 million gonna go to facility and $400,000 to support instructional activities. So again, one-time funding, but we can definitely get a lot of return on investment for that. Measure M in the Student Services Center construction project. Have you been to the College Center lately? Look at how far we have gone with that building. Can't wait. And thank you, Randy, our facility construction project manager, for keeping us on budget and on time. I think more importantly, on time at this point, and scheduled for opening in the summer. So then what do? Tentative budget, it's that cycle again, going into the planning process in March, April, and May, pending the governor's, getting a glimpse of the governor's budget for 22-23. We're going to go through that cycle again with presenting a tentative budget to the board for adoption in July. So that's what we have to look forward for the college budget. And after that, passing it on to Randy. Next slide, please.
All right, thank you, Christine. Yeah, I'm just watching the video of the construction site, so very exciting. Just gonna kick off here. The successes of 2021. Something that I worried about quite a bit was that that move from College Center into the annex. And so I'm glad that's over. I appreciate everybody's patience and support in that. And we look forward to getting into the new building. We also had a couple of rooms or spaces at Garden Grove campus that we've renovated. Those essentially are done. IT is working on the final touches there in the cybersecurity and business center spaces that took 4 classrooms and turned them into two larger student spaces. And then finally, we've been lobbying and working with the business office and of course Christine with trying to upgrade our air conditioning controls. Those were woefully behind the times, and we're in the final stages of that. We're going to training next week to learn how to use those, but we're looking forward to that, as we hope those will help us much in the future. Spring 2022, of course, we're looking forward to moving into the new building. We have kicked off a project at the Newport Beach campus, the Cadaver Lab, and that is in the design phase. The project team's working great. We're moving that along. Looking forward to that opening next in 2022. And finally, we're trying to do more, replace the lighting throughout all spaces that aren't already LED. And as we have challenges with the old lighting, we're switching those out to LED light fixtures or lighting systems, working with some vendors. And so those are in the works to do next year. So I'd like to turn the time over to Mike Toledo.
Hi, Randy. Thank you. One of the Well, let's start with the highlights for 2021. One of the things I'm most proud of is throughout this really challenging year with COVID and all, we've been able to sustain our operations. We always had officers at our campuses Monday through Friday throughout the entire pandemic. And I'm very proud of that. Our officers are very dedicated and they're very committed. So that's probably the number one thing that jumps out at me as far as looking back on the 2021. We're also implementing a new parking system. We're going to a new park online system. We're getting rid of the decals and things like that. We're ready to go. We're all set up for, we're targeting the summer semester coming up. We're just working out some bugs right now in terms of the enforcement piece, but the on-site platform to purchase your permits is up and running. We have the parking permits at the colleges that are up and running. The officers will be using license plate readers. Those are all functional. So we're ready to go. Just some minor, like I said, enforcement pieces on the back end that need to be done. This is a district effort. It's not just Coastline. So we're collaborating with Orange Coast and Golden West. So with any luck, by the summer semester, we should be ready to implement it fully. We're also in the process of installing new surveillance cameras at all the colleges. We started that this year. The servers have all been installed. The new system requires new servers. So the servers have been installed and we're working with IT to start the actual installation of the cameras. So that's moving along really well. And again, this is, although it's a Coastline project, the camera system we're going to is a district-wide project. So the new Vision On surveillance cameras are in line with what Golden West and Orange Coast have. Moving forward, for spring of 2022, we're excited about the new building. We're going to have an officer staffed at the front lobby of that new building during Monday through Friday for normal work hours. So we're excited to see how that works and how implementing that building into our staffing. One of the areas that we're really going to focus on in 2022 is training. We're going to renew our emergency management training, a lot of our incident command systems training, a lot of emergency preparedness training. So we're working really hard to start developing these classes and figuring out the best way to deliver the training to the students, the staff, and the faculty. We're also going to focus on our perishable skills training. We're going to start providing more diversity training, homeless and mental illness training. So there's a whole host of classes that we're looking at and we're putting in the pipeline to be able to deliver to our officers so they get all of the training that we want them to have. And I think that's it. That's all I have.
Awesome. So we'll jump over to the next slide. We're going to talk about information services. I think Christine's going to cover the Coastline part, and then Dave's going to jump in to talk about the district part. So go ahead, Christine.
That's correct. We want to give you the global view. So let me start with the technology report at the college level. So with that 2021 highlight, obviously, is continue to support the remote work under the COVID-19 environment. A full-time faculty computer refresh. We were able to complete that. And College Center relocation to the annex, Randy touched on that, but there's also a technology component, right? So when we relocate everybody, that was a big project for IT to also move all of the IT equipment as well. 2022 plan looking forward, Randy also touched on this, because it's kind of, facility project, there's always a technology component to that. So the cyber and business center system, IT would be supporting that. And some of the one-time funding that we talked about allow us to now explore the option of the high flex classroom conversion at the Newport Beach and Garden Grove campus. We also plan to complete the full-time staff and management computer refresh and the new student services, the AV support for the new building. So with that, Dave, from a district-wide perspective, please.
We're gonna get flexible. We're gonna do a flexibility first framework, and it's gonna be a framework that works. We're going to start with device flexibility, which means we are going to acquire, configure, and distribute suitable standardized mobile devices for all instructors, staff, and students. Along the way go the desktops, and along come in the mobile devices, which you can work at your desk, take it home, take it on the road, wherever you go. That's your device and it follows you. Then we go to application flexibility, which means we're going to acquire the appropriate applications and licensing to deliver models that align with all instructional disciplines. We're going to make sure that they're accessible, following accessibility standards and the business needs of the district. And most importantly, which is not on here, most of them are going to be cloud SaaS based. So you can use them anywhere you are on those mobile devices that we're providing you. Then we go to support flexibility. We're configuring devices and systems with a variety of service management tools that can be equally used on-site or remotely. If you have a problem with your device, you no longer have to wait for a technician to come to you. We're gonna be able to manage those devices wherever you are from wherever we are. So we don't have to put our boots on the ground and get to you. And then facility flexibility. We're going to outfit all of our instructional workspaces with the appropriate technologies to accommodate simultaneous in-person and remote participation. As we learned from this COVID, nothing is for sure. So we want to make sure that we provide you the devices, the applications, the support, and the facilities to make sure you can do your work flexibly from anywhere. And it's a framework that works. Thank you.
Folks, that's the grand finale closing act for the A team.
Excellent work, admin services. So we're going to pass it over to student services. Dr. Muller.
That's just not fair. I needed some warning. I could have done something either fun, silly, something. Anyway, thank you. So Coastline Student Services. What we've been doing, where we're going. Next slide, please. So about us, if you're not familiar with much about student services, besides the area we're going to cover, as a team, as practitioners, we're student focused. If you haven't experienced it yet, I'm sure you will in the future. We are collaborators. We enjoy innovators along with our other colleagues. We are achievers, probably overachievers at times, and dolphins. So next slide, please. These are no particular order. Dean of Students, I asked for highlights for the last couple of semesters or last couple of terms and then looking forward. So summer, continuation, expansion of basic needs. Our pantry distribution has grown 400% in the past years. And this last fall, we're now pre-screening for CalFresh, which helps expedite for students, and we're actively providing students with housing assistance, and that was mentioned in a previous section. Looking forward, we're looking at retention efforts in response to state initiatives and re-engagement in retention specifically, and further development of resources and services for our dreamer and undocumented students. Next. EOPS, which also includes, I didn't have room on the slide, CalWorks, Next Up, which is our foster youth. I'm already forgetting somebody. CARE. And Allison Carlock is working on a statewide as secretary for the CalWorks Association Board. We're very proud of her. We began providing weekly after hours and drop-in counseling and office support. You can see that information every week in the VPSS weekly newsletter, and providing resources and support for student parents. Next. Student leadership and global engagement. This fall, there's been a focus on civic engagement. You're going to hear more about that as the year goes on, and developing additional support for clubs. Looking forward, it was mentioned that we're doing the OCTA bus passes, and we're implementing Turbo Vote to increase and support voting behaviors and civic engagement. If you're not familiar with this, these are all good things to do. We're also beholden to financial aid regulations to do several things. It's that carrot and stick. We need federal financial aid to survive as a college and to function as a college. And they tie many things to it, such as Constitution Day, our consumer information, voter registration as examples. Student equity in Title IX. There's some carryover with the SEEP group and DEI. but we continue to provide technology loans, and we're doing work on cyber safety and technology and technology literacy training. Pride Month was very successful. We've done ally trainings, including Veterans and Autism and Hispanic Heritage Month, which was a crossover with ANR. And looking forward, we're going to have more cultural competency training, and we're focusing on case management that's grounded in culture and race. There's a shift in how we're addressing students of concern and different behaviors that need conversations. Next, please. Admissions and records, just a sample of data. 1,385 Hope Scholar applications just in the summer. Those were processed. And then we got 766 Hope Scholars placed into 1,262 seats. You'll see for fall, another partnership that we have developed and continues is with the Education Fund. And there was 3 different Hispanic Heritage Months. That's greatly thanks to Javier Alcala. There was one called Healing the Heart and Restoring the Spirit, Dancing Through Resilience Rhythms of Cuba, and Celebration of Life, the Importance of Honoring Our Dead as we Reclaim Our Lives. Next, please. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the looking forward. Can you go back? I'm trying to talk too fast. We're going to be filling our residency position, and that will help the team out greatly. That's quite the volume of paperwork that comes through that has to be handled as quickly as possible. We're folding in ANR functions from extended learning and implementing all ANR forms to dynamic forms in the future. Next. Extended learning. We've been talking a lot about that in different meetings. In the summer, concluded a full year in effect of generalist staffing versus specialist and narrow functions. And that's something that we're looking at college-wide, developing collaborative processes for VA certifying and paper transcript processing. That's very involved and complex. We have submitted an RFP to Navy Community College. We're waiting to hear a decision on that. It would be with the cybersecurity program. And thank you, Toby and Brandon. We're scaling operations and functions to meet our revenues and our enrollments. We're going to be modifying departmental processes as shifts are happening in extended learning. We're endorsing other elements to different areas. And my thanks to ANR, the business office, counseling. That's great to have some things get solidified there. And working with instruction to have military and corporate students into existing courses and no longer having duplicate courses with small enrollment. Financial aid. We are very excited and happy with the product Campus Logic Virtual Advisor. It's much more robust and has like close to 100 languages. It interacts with Banner, so it's very helpful to students. They've been doing workshops in Spanish and Vietnamese as well as English. iGrad has launched its replaced CAS course, and it's really fabulous, and it's not limited to students. Any employee can use that, and it's got wonderful modules and helpful hints on a variety of financial things. As mentioned before, we've distributed a lot of money to students, and that has just been a lot of fun to be able to do. We're looking for, with Signalvine, is a two-way texting platform. We just sent something out to Latinx and Black students about FAFSA. We're going to be looking at Pell eligible students and communications with that. And then Aaron and I are going to be joined at the hip as far as communications and going out to students and targeting with this. And it'll be far more people than just Aaron and I, but initially setting up the structure of that. We'll be enlisting a lot of people's assistance with that. And the folks at Golden West have a lot of fun communicating with students in this way. Counseling, they've done so much towards guided pathway. We have a new online orientation. We have a new guided self-placement tool. There's department roadmaps for ADTs, a new welcome letter, and a new orientation for Hope Scholars. Transfer Center, they've done some great work as always, as has the Career Center. And you can see that information about the job fairs, the transfer fairs, workshops, a business and Entrepreneur Summit, Healthcare Summit, and new videos. Go ahead. And looking forward for counseling with the new building, especially the Career Center and Transfer Center will be together. And the way the physical setup is, it won't feel like counseling's all over the place, literally all over the place. They will all be in the same area. And so we're looking for increased collaboration and workflows and processes across counseling. Next. And overarching, for student services as a whole, and this could easily expand across the college, but I'm here to talk about student services. Exploring what more we can do online for our students. We already do a lot, but we're always looking for what more can we be doing. Student services and instruction and maximizing both the collaborative opportunities and intersections. I've been very happy with what we already do, and there's always more that we can do together, and taking advantage of our small college feel. Reviewing processes and procedures for efficiencies, access, and equity. That's going to be across student services. There's already work being done that, but taking deep dives into forms, processes, access, et cetera. And how student services supports and intersects with competency-based education. We're going to, student services, my thanks to Karen. I know she's on this call, Karen Conless. My right-hand person, we're going to be working very closely with vaccine and testing mandates, and initial communication went out to students today. I'm going to be sharing that college-wide, so you know what's going out to students about what they need to be doing for vaccine and testing mandates. And we're going to be expanding the use of Campus Logic Virtual Advisor. A lot of different departments can tie into that. It's FAQs on steroids, and expanding the use of Signalvine with the two-way communications, especially for retention and student re-engagement right now, and eventually for trying to boost up our enrollment when we're ready to get past hold harmless. And I think that's the last slide.
That's it. Thank you so much, Kate, and just sharing all the great things student services are doing. And we'll be moving forward to the instructional wing. We'll start with Dr. Blair.
Hey, it's Dr. Blair. I don't have a fun song for you, but maybe I'll think of one by the end. Garden Grove. So a lot of these projects and activities have been discussed by our other compatriots from other areas. So I appreciate the collaboration we have. As been discussed, we're renovating a second floor area to create 2 collaborative innovation spaces. We have been working closely with marketing to have targeted marketing efforts, which has been great for our programs. We've been working on operational efficiency. As you know, in career education, we manage multiple grants, state, federal, and individual grants. And it requires a lot of coordination between a lot of different folks. And there's a lot of different deadlines and everything else. So we've been working on operational efficiency there, some new processes, which is great. Career Ed is really leading the charge with CBE implementation. So we're very excited about that. We were able to provide a vaccine clinic for several months at our Garden Grove facility. So we're very proud that that worked out well. We have a lot of Perkins and Strong Workforce funded projects, such as master model courses. We have Strong Workforce local projects, such as having our counseling hours available in the evening. And we have outstanding Strong Workforce regional projects, including Net Labs, for example, and Cyber Patriot. We held Gen Cyber camps this summer. Yes, things happened in person this summer, and we actually have an upcoming one, as you'll see in a minute. And the last one on there, I just wanted to give a special shout out to the business club and to the folks who have been involved with that. The students really initiated this working with Professor Thomas. So that's been really fun to be involved with them. What's coming soon? So we're going to have an actual launch of STORM, which is our Cyber Innovation Center. Okay, Toby, you'll get me if I'm wrong. Security, Technology, Operations, Resource Management, or the R might be research. And the BIZ, which is our Business Innovation Zone. So Aaron and Kevin are intimately involved with that one. We're very excited that we have 3 searches: accounting, cybersecurity, and business. So really looking forward to growing our career education faculty pool. Couple upcoming, it's research, see? A couple upcoming events this Saturday. If you'd like to come on down to Garden Grove, we'll be hosting a really wonderful Gen Cyber Camp follow-up, and it is on theme, it's holiday themed, as the students will be programming snow globes, something to that effect. And Toby and Brandon can explain in more detail if you have questions. In the spring, we will also have our VITA program again for our accounting, where we provide community service by providing taxes for those folks. We have WRCCDC, which I'm not even going to try to say all the letters of, but Brandon leads this really, truly amazing event. We're so excited we get to have it again. We will be launching our SURF team forms later this month. So these are for career education related funding requests. Anyone can submit them. The requests will Basically, they have to impact Perkins participants, which you can contact myself or Mary if you want any more details on what qualifies someone as a Perkins participant. But what we use these funding requests for, they're reviewed by a team, and then Mary and myself sort through, okay, what could be funded from Perkins, what could be funded strong workforce, are there other grants that qualify for these activities? So a lot of the activities that we discussed here today, like the renovation project, the targeted marketing, those are as a result of those SURF forms. So this past spring was our last rodeo. We're trying to get it started again sooner this year. But if you have an idea that could impact career education students, please let us know, and we're happy to guide you through that process. And we also have a few advisory meetings in the fall, and then a ton of advisory meetings in the spring. So those are some things coming soon.
Excellent. And so we'll go over to Dr. Neal in the Newport Beach campus.
Good afternoon, everyone. Lots going on everywhere, amazingly. Even during a pandemic, we're getting all this done. So quick highlights of the Newport Beach campus. We have returned this fall to on-site science labs and some art studios. That process will continue in the spring as we add even more classes to the Newport Beach campus and our other campuses in those areas, including then some ESL as well on the Westminster campus and elsewhere. With great help of our chairs and with AO Dan Weber, we have gotten through all of the possible ADTs through the local curriculum process. When I first started here 5 years ago, we had 5, we're now up to 20. And so we're just waiting for state level approval. And so Dan Weber will take care of those as we go along. Lots of CIDs, so those are classes that transfer much more readily to CSUs and within the CCs and the UCs once they have a CID approval because they match what is going on other schools across our state. In the area of our special programs, the COAST program has developed 4 new areas of certificate of completion. Those are in all coming: music, drama, art, and creative arts. Professor Katie Stubblefield is booming those along. She's got a 4-year plan of developing those and putting them into place. Those will join the other COAST programs, workforce development for our ID students that we already have in place. With the help of Mr. Don Bowie, we are expanding dual enrollment opportunities, always expanding those. He's doing a terrific job making certain that sciences are growing in those areas. Grants, as you've heard before from Director Flint, our cadaver lab is in full swing with the help of Aaron Zentner, Darian Astrich, and Deb Henry. We wrote a grant and landed about $360,000 to build out a cadaver lab at the Newport Beach campus, which you've heard about. Other grants are coming. We are in a silent period right now for a $1 million plus grant in the STEM area for developing underrepresented students in the sciences. So we're hoping we'll land that. Looks pretty good so far. We are taking care of the one-time state-funded equipment funds that the beloved VP talked about earlier. Have about $400,000 in my areas for science and art, getting the art gallery up to speed. Special programs, despite the drop in enrollment that Dr. Zentner talked about, special programs is near records of the number of students served, especially in the mainstream support area, which continues to be solid for us. We wanted you to know that all over the district, Coastline serves 45% of all students with disabilities in the district. So still a heavy load despite the fact of the drop in enrollment elsewhere. We have been working on strategic plan for the special programs area. We are fully into that. The new chairs is one of the evolutions of that. We have 4 new department chairs in the 4 areas of special programs, and those strategic plans are coming to fruition. And now I'm working with these new chairs to develop new strategic plans on moving forward to grow those areas. As well, art gallery curator David Michael Lee and I are starting to write out a 3-year strategic plan on how to engage the community more in the art gallery and to make the art gallery a more welcoming space. And lastly, in my areas, community connections. We have been, the Newport Beach campus has been a voting polling center for the community. We have been a COVID vaccination clinic like Garden Grove. I hear we had a record number of folks showing up last night. Over 100 people got their boosters and first vaccinations last evening, so it's been great. We are, of course, one of the areas of the food pantry with Natalie Schoenfeld and other folks who are building the food pantry for students there. We hope to expand that and make it more self-sufficient as the years progress and we reopen fully. And lastly, art gallery events have been continuing online, and we look forward to the spring of having more of our art gallery events on campus. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll go to Dr. Emerson at Westminster campus.
Thank you so much. So as you can see here, some of the cool things as we were directed that happened summer fall 2021. We had 7 on-site classes, which are closing out right now. And I'm just so happy to say that one of our classes has at least retained 93% of their students from day one. So we take this as a sign that students are ready to come back. So we're looking forward to that. In regards to some dual and concurrent enrollment, Don Booley just excitedly reports that all the seniors from Early College High School have applied to Coastline for summer and fall 22 classes. This is absolutely amazing because we maintain a very strong relationship with the Newport Mesa Unified School District, and especially with Early College High School, where they lovingly refer to Coastline as the college in early college. And Mr. Bowie also reports that 254 10th to 12th graders from La Quinta High School completed admission applications for Coastline to continue their dual enrollment for spring 2022. Again, we're still reaching out to gain more students and have Coastline become part of their academic career pathways. As we've heard, there is the Esports Club, and one of the things that we have established over the summer and fall is the Esports Oculus Lab. We host events here at the Westminster campus. So far, we have hosted an event for the DEI committee. They screen the Traveling While Black experience. And I would have to say that their responses were quite moving. We did not expect them to be as emotional and as thrilling. But because of that, we will be hosting other events for other groups, not only on campus, but within the community as well. So please look out for those. We're super excited about that. And let's see. Oh, we also participated. So Esports also participated in some international esports forums. We did one with a lot of countries in Africa, which was super amazing. They reached out to Coastline Esports to ask, how is it that we can combine the activity of gaming with education? So this is super exciting for us. As requested, we have opened up the Student Success Centers to be student study space. We noticed that students were sitting on the patios, utilizing the Wi-Fi here. So we have staffed the the Student Success Centers, not only at Westminster, but also at Newport Beach, so that students can come and use that space to study. But we do not have on-site tutors at this time. However, at Westminster, we do continue the tradition of staffing a lot of federal work study students. And this is something that we really appreciate because they get some skills that they take over into their careers, and they are incredibly helpful and really love working with students. And there's nothing more beautiful to see at a campus than students looking at other students and feeling very comfortable and knowing that there is a community here to support them. So at Westminster, because of the programs that we have, we've listened, we understand, and in our diversity efforts, we created a lot of multilingual communication with students, meaning a lot of things that we send out in terms of flyers and notifications, we do it in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese, and sometimes Korean, depending on the student population that we are working with. This next bullet is something that kind of snuck up on us, but we call it Have Lunch With Us. We understood that almost everyone who works at the City Hall across the street, every month they come and have lunch on our terrace. And they love doing it here at the Westminster campus. And so they feel like they are a part of us and we are part of the community. So we love to have that continue. And also this last bullet point for what we've done very cool in fall 2021 did not come out of a cool experience. Nevertheless, we established a Janice DeBattista scholarship to help students. Those of you who may or may not know, Janice was the mother to all of our students. She supported them and helped them. And with her background in special education, this was most appropriate that we do this in her honor. So what's coming up? Well, we're going to move from 7 on-site classes to 22 on-site classes in spring 2022. And how are we going to be efficient in doing this? We are taking retention and recapturing students in our own hands. We are starting a calling campaign. We are calling almost 800 students to welcome them back to campus and back to classes, letting them know that we are here for them and reestablishing our connection with the community. We are working with Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, and Vista Meridian Global Academies towards dual enrollment programs for the upcoming year. This is, again, Mr. Don Bowie just spreading Coastline's wings everywhere that he possibly can. Like I said before, we're having more esports, Oculus Lab events, and we're having more esports events on campus, really looking to capture the audience of middle schoolers and high schoolers that are around the campus. And to address the cost of college, which we know is a barrier for a lot of students, Adult Ed with Michael Scott and his team are continuing to increase non-credit offerings so students can continue at least gaining some education, gaining skills that will help them move into the workforce. And then hopefully we capture them and move them over to the credit side of the college and help them complete other certificates and degrees. We continue to provide technological support for students, again, checking out Chromebooks and hotspots, making sure that they have all of the technology that is needed for them to complete their careers here with us. And again, as always with all sites, we continue to do collaborations across disciplines, which we find very helpful, and faculty are reporting that they also find it very helpful, and they come up with new ideas as to how they can reach out across disciplines and put new things on the table for us. So that's what's going on over here in Westminster. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Emerson. And we'll go over to Nate Harrison with distance and online distance learning.
Thank you, Dr. Zentner. So in order to help support our faculty, we've been working to roll out some tools. One of these tools is Design Plus, which is a software that helps faculty enhance their Canvas courses. We've rolled out 14 training sessions this fall. We've got about 2 more to go before the end of the term, and more to come in spring as well. We've also working on rolling out Padlet. This is also a software that helps faculty increase student engagement in Canvas. We want to thank Stephanie Bridges and Kelly Rupert for sharing this software with us. We're in the final stages of getting it approved and going to roll out to all of our faculty in spring. Additionally, we've been working with our faculty on upgrading telecourse videos using open source content, which is going to save the school thousands of dollars in licensing fees. And also providing more upgraded and more current content for our students who are in our Hope Scholars program. To sort of support our students, we're also been working with an A&R. We've done some basic training between the staff on some skills to help support the different offices during their peak periods. So for example, during the registration, A&R's peak period of registration, our staff is able to provide up to about 24 hours of support to register students to help decrease the load on them. Additionally, we've been able to provide handbooks and Scantrons to all of our Hope Scholar students this fall, as well as some textbooks to the various 34 prison reference libraries. And that's great because it's as we know, the cost of materials is a huge barrier for our students. And we're going to be doing this again in spring as well. We've also been working with faculty on converting over to OERs, which again is going to save us money, save the students money for materials. Coming up this year, we're also going to be working with faculty and departments on master courses. We're following up with CDCR on their Canvas rollout. That's the Canvas rollout to the various prison sites to see how we can be part of that pilot. In addition, we're going to be reviewing our processes and the software we use to upgrade to increase efficiencies within our operations. And that's it.
Excellent. We'll go over to Elizabeth, the librarian, and Danny Pittaway.
Thank you so much. Let me start my timer. Hi, my name's Elizabeth. I'm the librarian. I'm here with my colleague, Danny Pittaway, and together we are the library and learning assistants. We think of ourselves as academic support services, and we're going to do some highlights from the fall and plans for spring. So I'll let Danny go ahead and go first.
Oh, hello there.
Surprise.
I'm Danny. This is my guitar. This has nothing to do with Dave's earlier presentation. I just happen to have a guitar with me today. You might think to yourself, I didn't know Danny plays guitar. And you'd be right or wrong. I don't know how to play guitar, but does that stop me? No. So, Student Success Center, as Dana mentioned, they are open at Westminster and Newport as study spaces, which is great. So students have a quiet and nice place to come study. As Stephen mentioned earlier, I've really enjoyed doing the meeting students where they are faculty seminar series, and I hope to definitely continue that kind of dialogue. I really realize that one of the best investments we can make at Coastline is within the faculty and kind of having an ongoing dialogue around teaching and learning to make sure that we're addressing our students' learning assistance needs and meeting students where they are. There's a lot of coordination going on between the Student Success Center and various departments. I'm personally working closely with DSPS, EOPS, who each refer students directly to me for assistance. I'm really enjoying that. And as everybody knows, we have Smart Thinking and NetTutor, which is available through Canvas, and all faculty members are welcome to enable those services so that if students do want direct subject level tutoring, they can get it through NetTutor and Smart Thinking. And that's it.
Plan for spring, Danny?
Oh, plan for spring is to, I guess, consolidate and continue what we're doing. I'm striving for some consistency and predictability. I'm getting requests for more guitar. I'm sorry, that's the end of the free show. If you come contact me and we'll see what we can arrange. But the plan for spring is to continue to consolidate and continue with what we have. I think we actually finally have a sustainable model for our department, and I look forward to continuing in our current direction.
Thanks. So for the library, the highlights we've had for the summer and the fall, I want to say thank you to our former VPI, Dr. Rodriguez, now president. He provided some funding for the library to be able to increase our digital library collection, especially in diversity, equity, inclusion for ebooks. And we've expanded with some science resources and cybersecurity. Working with Dr. Zettner, the library was able to show that the library workshops that students took last year, it showed an increase for student success and retention, which for me is very important. We want to make sure that what we're doing is helping students. And working across the state, we've realized there's a lot of colleges that are also serving incarcerated students, which we call Hope Scholars here at Coastline. And so our library has created a lot of resources. And so we've been sharing those by doing Creative Commons for them. So the big plan for the spring is equity is very important for me and the services we provide to all of our students. And so we are working on a Hope Scholar Avoiding Plagiarism workshop, which I think is going to be very powerful for our students, really empower them in terms of citation, understanding about plagiarism, and just really support them as students. So that's us, and we're super excited for what's to come. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Instructional Services Wing. There's so many things. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so now we're going to the President's Wing. Dun, dun, dun. And Vince is not going to talk about this until later. So I want to touch on what the work that's being done in the foundation over this past year. So one of the cool things, as you can keep on hearing, is the Sea Dolphin Assistance Program. And you're hearing that consistently through a lot of our presentations. Foundation has also helped support that by raising $15,000 to help continue to strengthen and expand the work being done over there. In addition, as currently the foundation's hosting Giving Tuesday and is looking to set a goal of $35,000 that can be led to scholarships and other great and innovative things we can do at Coastline. And as we start thinking about, how does Coastline set itself apart differently? I was just sitting in a district meeting today and I was like, you guys want to hear something cool? They're like, yeah. I said, we have a dolphin. And they're like, what? Yes, Coastline has partnered with 2 different outfits to help support the ocean and wildlife, and we're rehabilitating a dolphin. The dolphin's name is Johnny, and it's right now in Florida. And I swear, if my miles can get me out there, I might fly out to see him and just we're going to be making ongoing videos to tell his story. I just thought that was so cool. And of course, our colleagues were completely blown away, like, wow. Yeah. And then someone's like, well, we adopted a pirate. I thought that was so funny. That's from Orange Coast, and we all laughed. But I thought it was just really exciting to find new ways to engage and make a difference in not just our community, but as a whole. In addition, some of the things that we've been looking to do in marketing is really expand our social footprint. We've seen social media grow across all different areas, engaging not just with posts, with videos, with followers and the like. And so that's really positive on what we're looking forward. A new marketing plan was introduced and shared at our PIAC meeting. And so hopefully that will permeate out through the college so you can see what plans that we have in place. And similar to the enrollment management plan, it continually shifts based on the shifting environment we're operating in. And so now going into institutional effectiveness, we released and updated all of our data dashboards. We have over 40 data dashboards. We led the effort for the statewide and held the largest statewide event for all researchers in the history of their events in a digital format with over 250 guests called Battle of the Boards, where it was a data dashboard collaborative between every almost college in the state. So we hosted that. So I thought that was dope. And another thing that we really started working on is focusing our efforts on a DEI data collection, not just data for the DEI plan, but for our program reviews, so on and so forth. And then our campus was one of the leads on that college-wide effort to create the DEI plan as far as collection of quantitative, qualitative information. In addition, working with our student learning outcome coordinators, Steve Faust and Brandon Brown, we're really looking to redefine what institutional student learning outcomes are and really embracing that and embedding that in what we're doing. Another approach is really trying to be innovative and pushing the edges with augmented and virtual reality. Dr. Emerson mentioned that earlier. We're continually scaling those out and trying new and innovative ways to create immersive learning environments for our students. In addition to that, I think that's all on my list, so that's great. So moving forward to our planning, for spring 2022. We're looking to create a new SLO planning schedule to really help faculty create meaningful change in their courses and continue to increase course quality through collaboration. And then also, as we look forward with that, we're doing a pilot on program student learning outcomes to help remap and reshape how we're measuring program effectiveness. We're releasing, fingers crossed with the approval of the Academic Senate, new and more streamlined program department review templates. And so that's exciting. Coming from marketing, they're going to be having the 45th anniversary. We're going to be adopting a new engagement system and moving away from HubSpot to a more of a focused, higher education focused consumer relationship management system called Slate. We'll be doing that district-wide. The foundation is starting to strengthen and build their partnerships and collaborations with the local chambers. And as the year comes to an end, we're going to be looking to do resource allocation, as mentioned by PIAC. We're going to be doing a scholarship recognition event, a veterans appreciation dinner, and then also releasing a lot more innovative and immersive media, not just for our students for the learning environments, but also through our marketing materials. So that is a snapshot of the President's Wing, and I will pass it over to Coastline Pathways.
All right. A couple of the things that we want to really highlight with Pathways is that we've done a lot of good work over the last several years. And the current end date for the current grant is coming up in June at the end of next term. So the next term is really going to be about evaluating our progress on all of our projects, seeing where we're at, seeing where we can improve, and seeing and deciding what those next steps are going to be. A lot of the things that have come out of Pathways have been highlighted already today, such as iGrad, which Dr. Muller talked about. We also are working on our state report, and as always with state reports, things are constantly changing. So we're hoping to have that completed in the next few months. Pathways as a state movement has moved into the fourth pillar. What we're really going to be focusing on in the next term is ensuring student learning. What that means and what that looks like is going to be different for every college. But for us, it's really going to be evaluating all of our projects and that we've implemented so far. One of the things that we plan to work on in the spring that is going to be in line with a lot of other departments is looking at a lot of the general education courses that are common across many of the program maps that have been developed, and use our Pathways funds to develop model and master courses for those courses. We hope to be launching the program mapper that we've had for a while, but have had some difficulties getting through the IT queue. But other than that, as mentioned, we have Comevo, the new welcome experience, the new welcome letter. So we're looking forward to a lot of those things being implemented in the spring. Other than that, Coastline Pathways is done because I know that we are running short on time.
Excellent. So we'll move over to competency-based education.
Everyone, Erin Thomas here for competency-based education, and for Elizabeth, CBE stands for competency-based education, and for us that is synonymous with direct assessment, competency-based education. Our CBE advisory team, which is the A team shown here, began work over the summer. We've continued to work through this fall. This team coordinates activities across all the areas that are involved with such a program, which basically is the entire college. We've engaged an organization called the Competency-Based Education Network, known as CBEN, to assist us in ramping up. So we're trying to move a little more quickly here at Coastline to implement our management degree as achieved through a competency-based model. So our ramp up process is using 8 training modules that they provide and going through those with facilitators like Charla Long, whom some of you have met. So we reorganized her learning modules to meet our needs so that modules 1 and 2 were what we called Bootcamp 1. For those of you that have been through that. And her module 3 is what we're calling our Bootcamp 2. Bootcamp 2 is all about backwards design from competencies. And that is the bootcamp that's being repeated in January, about a week before we go to Bootcamp 3, which is focused on assessment strategies for the competencies that we've identified. It's worth noting that for our submission for accreditation, it requires the details of our competency statements, including what we call levels of mastery definitions, as well as an assessment strategy, not the actual assessments, but approaches that can be taken to assess each competency. So the work we're doing in these boot camps right now is directly supporting progress towards getting our degree accredited. Shelley and I also attended an annual conference that CBEN hosts. It was really well attended with people from all over the country working on these approaches to education and sharing liberally what they have learned. Just to be clear, once our management degree is accredited by ACCJC and then by the Department of Education, subsequent programs can be added without going through this whole big approval process. And that's why you're seeing listed here the Dietary Manager certification and Digital Graphic Arts certifications. Shelley will cover what I missed.
It's 3 o'clock, so all I'm going to say is that there are 8 guitars in my house, and none of them are mine. They're my son's and my husband's. CB is going great. Please engage if you haven't yet.
All right, excellent. And we're going to hear closing from Dr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Erin, and thank you to everyone else. I just can't say thank you enough. It's great to hear all the things that we have been doing, everything we're working on. And for me, it keeps hitting home that it ties into how Coastline was started, to help the students that generally wouldn't be able to get to a traditional college or do well in a traditional college. And we're serving those students that need us the most. We're taking care of in education using XR, meaning virtual reality and augmented, all those other ways, flexible education. We're taking care of housing, food, their transportation, their finances, and you're doing so through flexible ways of providing classes. And again, for remembering the diversity, equity, and inclusiveness. So I appreciate everything we're doing everywhere, every direction we're going. I'll just leave with one area to think about for the future. Many people have been asking about what I think we need to focus on in the future, and I'll share more at the Senate and the future PIAC meetings. But one of the things is, if you look at our strategic plans, there's a variety of strategies and initiatives. And one of the things that we'll be focusing a lot on in the spring is looking at our efficiency and our effectiveness. And I already heard some of that happening through program review and other settings. So we'll share more information, but I'm so proud of being able to say, as the president of Coastline, all the things that are happening and everything that you've been doing for us and for our students. So great job. And I know it has not been easy to do all of this over the past year. It's probably been the most challenging year we've had for any of us working here. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everyone. This recording will be made available sooner than later. And thank you all to the presenters, to our colleagues, to everybody at Coastline. All this work is because of you. So everybody, it was great seeing you at our last PIAC meeting. Enjoy the rest of the term.